at the beginning. So guys, welcome to our meetup. My name is Marija Nikolic and I will be the moderator of today's meetup. I'm very happy to introduce our guest today. His name is Ben Linders and hello.
Hi.
Ben is a consultant. He is also author, advisor, speaker, coach. He has over 20 books already published and 50 plus different agile coaching tools released. Also, all that is available on his website. I would like to encourage you to go there and to check out. There are a lot of free available tools for Scrum Masters, product owners, team members, anyone who is interested. Also, he is doing a lot of workshops, conferences, talks, so we are very lucky to have him today with us. Today's topic will be around the Agile Self-assessment Game, which is one of his coaching tools that he released. We will be able to experience here how can we play this game with our teams, and also Ben will talk about when should we use this game and how, when we shouldn't use this game. And that would be all for me now. I would like to invite you to put in the chat all your comments, feedback, questions. We would like you to have, let's say, a role in this meetup and to be participative. Please ask the questions anytime you are not clear about something, and Ben will make sure that things are clarified for you. So that would be from my side. Ben, would you like to add something?
Well, I think the introduction was pretty good, so thank you very much. Let me switch to presentation mode. So, as Mara explained, what we're going to be doing today is called the Agile Self-assessment Game, and it's maybe a game in a different sense. It's more like a gamification, and I'm going to explain more about that as a way to help people collaborative work on improving their way of working, reflecting on how they're doing and improving their way of working. And it's using concept from gamification as a way to do this. We're going to be doing some exercise with this game. I'm going to give you some background on the stuff about gamification, how this stuff works, why this stuff works. But most of the stuff we're actually going to be playing with the stuff. Maya mentioned feedback is welcome. Also, if you have questions, interrupt me. I prefer to take them on the spot to get the discussion going, because I think the more we discuss the stuff, the more that we play with this and actually use it, the better the learning will be. So that will be my way to do it today. And with a small group, so that should be working. I think Mara told this stuff most already, mostly working these days as a trainer. Doing online coaching, advisor, and I wrote a couple of books and translation of that, and also making more and more of the tools that I use in my workshop available as digital downloads. So there's a short list of them here, but there's a lot more. And one of them being this Agile Self-assessment Game. There's also a couple of tools for retrospectives. There's stuff for technical coaching, if you're interested in that, coaching cards. What I see is that I can't coach every team all over the world. I can't travel everywhere, even if we do it remotely. I can't do that, but I can make the tools available for other people to use them and to work with that. So that's why I'm making this stuff more and more available to people to use it. So I think without further ado, let's switch to the Jamboard right now and take a first look at some of the cards from the Agile Self-assessment Game, and actually also on a couple of the expansion packs in there. And then I can go deeper on what the game is about and how it works. But I think a very nice introduction would be to just move over there and to see how that works. And to do that, I'm going to be sharing the Jamboard.
Sorry, Ben, I have a question for our participants. Can everyone hear Ben? Because we have people saying that they have some difficulties.
Okay.
Here.
Is it better now? Let me switch the microphone a bit. How's this?
I would say better, but I could hear even previously, so I'm not sure.
Okay.
I can hear.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe it's better now in this position. Okay, let me share the link to the Jamboard in the chat for people who are interested to join the board. And let me then share the board for those who are not able to join. Okay, there we go. So what I would like to do right now is I put up a question over here and I pulled out a couple of cards from the Agile Self-assessment game. And these were actually cards from the game, but also cards for some of the expansion packs. And the question that I'd like to ask to the people who are in the meetup right now is there any card on the screen right now, one of those 9 cards that makes you think of a change that has been happening in your company in the past year? And it could be something for the better, for the good, or anything that happened. But if there's any card in here that makes you think about a change that has been happening in the company and that you would like to talk about. Anybody? And if there is, please pick that card. Or let me know which card it is and then I can pick it for you.
Et pour François, pâtisser, c'est d'abord faire plaisir à sa famille.
Somebody needs to move themselves.
Yeah, I'm not sure what sound I'm hearing right now.
So Ben, can you help us? Should we pick a card, move it, show it to you?
If you're on the board, you can pick a card and move it, and otherwise I can move it for you.
Okay.
I see some people ready. I think the first card has been picked. Okay, so somebody picked the card. The organization is capable to respond rapidly and effectively to changes in its environment. Let's pick that one first. So let's put this one up here, and then we're going to be doing this one second. Okay. So who picked this card?
That was me.
Okay.
Yeah. So well, actually, when we started first working remotely, it was questionable for all of us how that will work, and we were anxious a little bit about it, but. After a couple of weeks, I would say, no, I wouldn't say days, but it was literally a week or two, we were aware that we simply can work like this. And with time, as more time passes, everyone is completely adjusted to new realities. So I would say that majority of companies managed to respond to this change rapidly. Mm-hmm. And it's a huge change in environment as well.
Mm-hmm. It is. So what do you think that made the difference in your company that made you capable to adapt to this so quickly?
Yeah, well, probably, we didn't have an option, first of all. So we had to adjust. And since we were all motivated to make it work somehow, it was not something that we thought about truly. We didn't have time to think about it, whether it will work or not. We just had to make it work. But actually, I think that the way we were working previously was not even, we were not aware of this. It was not that connected with being face-to-face all the time. As you said, you meet with someone if you need to work collaboratively, but the tools that we have are allowing us to share the screen, to work, to pair, to work in any kind. Even more programming is very easy with online tools. So I think that tools helped a lot, and the fact that we use them even before this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm hearing a couple of things here. The culture, where people said, okay, we're motivated to make this work and we're going to make it work. So let's just put some effort in this. Let's do it. I think there's also some foundation of trust in there. People trusting, like, together we can do this. Having some familiarity already with the tools. So not like you're plunging into something completely new, but you've got the basic skills already. You weren't just using them day to day, but you know how to do it. That's the kind of stuff that enables you to make this step.
And a little bit of pressure, of course, and tension.
Yeah, well, I think the pressure can help, but the pressure can make it break down if you don't know how to do it or you don't have the culture. but they can actually make it faster if you have the goals, if you have the means to do it. So two more or less go together. But I agree. I think actually I heard a lot of organizations say that the pressure that popped up due to COVID made them change their way and finding out like, hey, but actually this is making sense and this is helping us. So we want to keep the good aspects of this that we have right now. We want to keep this in because we see this is working in a lot of situations.
Yeah, as a part of self-organized triangle, you know, a little bit of tension.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you for sharing your story.
Ben,
There was something. Yeah.
Again, one logistic request. Can you maybe just adjust the mic? I think for sometimes we hear excellent, and then we lose you a bit. So if you can just try a different position, maybe
Okay.
it gets better.
Is this better right now?
I guess so. Yeah, let's try. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's. Yeah. Let's. Yeah.
Okay. Put a little bit more.
Thank you. Yeah. Better. It's better.
Cool. We had somebody who pulled the second card. Quality is everybody's responsibility. Who pulled this one?
I pulled this one. So this is the only card that I feel like somehow relates to my company. And all the others, I sadly feel like don't really apply. Like I don't see that change, and it's something that I like. Think that the company and the teams I work with needs to work on.
Mm-hmm.
But the push that I'm seeing so far is that there's more focus on the quality and the responsibility, that this is everyone's responsibility, which is the only thing that I'm seeing, that the change of focus, that the quality is important and it's not some magical being that is responsible for this, that it's everyone's. And from all the others one, I would like to see those changes, but I'm not seeing them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is one where you see, okay, this is something that's true in your company. People are taking responsibility for the quality. You say with the other ones, that isn't there. Mean like, are there things in there which you would like to see in your company, which you think your company could benefit from?
They are, like all of them, I think.
Yeah, well, that would actually be the challenge. And actually, that's one of the challenges of this games and the cards in there, is that many of the cards would make sense for a company. And then the challenge would be, okay, let's pick only one or two and to focus upon those cards and work on that. Because in some situations, you would say, yeah, we want to do all of this, but you can't do all of this.
Yes, that's a good point, because so I'm in the position of the agile transformation, and I'm in the position like thinking I want to do all of that. So yeah. It's hard to pick what I actually want to do.
I can imagine that. Actually, there's a couple of games, and all of these games from us are based on playing with these cards, which are actually helping you to choose to pick one card above another card or to put some priority in there. As the main idea is to help people focus. And that's also the idea behind these different cards, then, is to say, okay, you know the opportunities are there, but you want to work on one or two items and you want to foster the discussion in the team or in the organization to make a choice to pick out one or two cards and say, okay, we're going to work on that now and we're going to pick up other stuff later.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's do one more card. Anybody else who wants to pick a card and share their story about the change that they've seen in their company? Everybody's getting quiet.
Probably Ola and I can pick a few more.
Okay, well, we can hop on basically, but what I wanted to show with this one, and this is actually a kind of warm-up exercise you can do with the cards from the Agile Self-assessment Game, is that if you just provide the cards in an easy format like this, and you can do this on site or online, as you can see, just having the cards there already gets people talking. And that's an important aspect if you look in organizational change, if you look in you want to improve something, or you want to reflect on how things are going. Just putting the cards up help people to take a look at them and to say, okay, how are we doing on this aspect? How are we performing? Is this working out for us or not? Is this something that we would like to work on? And it's a tool to foster this kind of discussions. That's basically what the cards are aimed at. So let's switch back to the presentation. And I took an image here actually from the manifesto for Agile software development, as you might recognize it. And also I actually picked out the first sentence in there because I want to give an important statement to that. And the statement is about how organizations are adopting Agile right now. What I see with a lot of organizations is that they try to implement Agile as they've been implementing processes or any tools or any methods before, training people, setting out the organizational structure there, providing teams with the means that they need to do the work, and then expecting everybody to work in a certain way. And for Agile, that will be working in Agile way. So people are getting Scrum training, and they say, okay, now we're going to be working in sprint for 2 weeks. This is a process to be followed. You're going to be doing stand up every day. We have a board over there. Good luck. That's it. To find out that this stuff is not working. And the main reason behind that, because the Agile Manifesto has a different kind of mindset, which is different from a lot of the traditional ways of working into organization. And this mindset is actually laid down in this sentence, and this is actually the first sentence from the manifesto of Agile software development, which states we are uncovering better ways of developing software by doing it and helping others do it. And there's some subtle words in here. The first subtle word is actually uncovering. This is a process that is not telling you how to do your work. This is a process that's telling you that you're going to be going on a journey, that you're going to be going on finding out what way of working works best for you, and that you're going to be improving along the way. So there's not one fixed way of working, but you're going to find better ways along the way. And we're still uncovering, and you're going to be learning throughout. And the other statement is about doing it and helping others. And this is a practitioner approach that was there in the Agile Manifesto. The people who came up with the Agile Manifesto were software developers. They were not process people, they were not quality people, they were not managers, they were people doing the work. They were working in software teams or they were part of software teams and they were looking for a way to do their work. And their idea was, let's find a way that works for us and let's help other people also to adopt this way of working. And these are key aspects of agility. And this is the biggest failure that I still see in a lot of agile transformations, where the agile way of working is being more or less imposed on people as a way that they should be doing the work. And that's not gonna work. That's what I see at least. So knowing that, what does work? Well, I think one thing that can work is if you start using stuff from gamification as a way to adopt agile in your organization. And the definition from gamification is applying principles and practices from gaming, but using them outside of this gaming context. So you're using them in a different situation. You're not playing a game, but you're doing your work, but you're using ideas from gaming to find out what the way is to do your work and to find a way to improve in there. To pull out some of those main concepts from gamification is that you're solving problems or challenges together. So instead of trying to assign work to people or to assign problems to people or say, this is your job, this is what you need to do, you're looking for ways to collaborate. You're looking for ways to combine knowledge, to combine skills in your team to solve any problem or to solve any challenges together. Again, this is the key aspect from Agile, that you're collaboratively working to do stuff in there. This links directly also to the ideas from gamification of solving a problem together. The other thing where there's a link between Agile and gamification is on the way that you're adopting Agile organization, the way you're playing games, which is about traveling more than going into a fixed format. You start a journey together. That journey is going to be evolving along the way. You're going to be learning stuff along the way. You're going to be sharing stuff on how this is going for you, adjusting your journey based on what you've learned along the way. And this is a link which I can see also combined with gamification as a way to do this kind of learning and traveling together. Then if you look at games and gamification, there's actually two main game formats in there, where one game format is more or less fixed, where you're going through different stages in the game to reach an end result. You see this mostly when you're playing online games in there. You're going through a stage, you get at a certain level, then you go to the next level, you proceed again to finish that level, you're going to go to the next level again. This is a kind of games that you can use in a learning situation where you're learning small steps and increasing your knowledge along the way. But this only works if you know how this journey is going to be. And if you compare this again with online game playing, then the journey that you're going to go through is more or less programmed into the game that you're going to be playing. But software development isn't a fixed game. It isn't a fixed journey. It isn't a fixed strategy that will work in all situations. The key aspects of making software development work is actually that you're going to be traveling your own journey. You're going to be learning along the way what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And to play this kind of games, you need a different structure. This structure is called emerging structure. So the structure is not laid out from the start, but some of the playing rules are there from the start. Some of the concepts are there from the start. Some of the ideas are there from the start. I guide you how to play this game. But there's no fixed way in which you're going to be playing the game. I think this kind of gamification works better if you look at the way that Agile works in software development organizations. So looking at applying this kind of gamification, what are the benefits if you use games of gamification as a way to adopt Agile in your organization? Well, I think the first thing is, and I'm hoping that people who are in the meetup right now can confirm that people like to play games. People like to sit together. People like to pick on a challenge together. People like to see, okay, how can we do this? How can we work together? Would this work? Would that work? If they're in a playing situation where they feel like we can try out some stuff and see how that works, even up to the level that some of the things will fail, which is also the case if you're playing games. You might even die and then get a new life and play the game again, and that's okay. But people like to play in a game format, so there can also be a learning situation that they can use. Being in the game situation encourages people to try out something, and something that involves people. If people are playing a game and people are standing by or seeing the game, a lot of the time they want to join in. They see what's happening in there and think, hey, this is cool. I want to be part of this game. I want to join in there. So using this kind of gamification as a way to learn Agile can help to get people on board in there. And if you're working in the game, people can bring in different ideas, different perspectives. And maybe explain what kind of games we talk about. These are not individual games, but these are team games. These are games where people are working together in a team and where these different perspectives are actually good because these different perspectives can lead to a better solution. And games stimulate that people collaborate together. And when they are collaborating, they're actually building relationships. They're learning from each other. They're learning the other persons in the team, the other persons in the group. They see what they find interesting. They see their experiences, and that will help to come to a solution in the game. With a game, you can actually visualize what's happening, and visualization is a concept that can help teams to improve. And I think the best example that I can give here is that you can go into a meeting and when you just start talking about some stuff, you can be talking for an hour. And then at the end of the hour, you wonder like, okay, what were we talking about? What did we get out of this meeting? If you put up a whiteboard, either on site or an online whiteboard, you give the people some markers or sticky notes or whatever works for them to work on the whiteboard, and you start drawing, you start collecting information, you start moving stuff around, the picture will evolve. And this will help you to solve problems much easier than just having a lot of discussions. It also helps to get people on board. If you're doing these kind of discussions for 3/4 of an hour, people get very tired. If you have people together working on a whiteboard, you can keep them involved into the solution. They can see the energy, they can see what's coming out of the whiteboard. So visualization is a very strong technique to solve problems. And I already talked about safety to fail, and I think that's part also of the agile journey, that you want to try out stuff. Some of the stuff will be working, some of the stuff will not be working. And that's okay, because if the stuff fails, you can learn from that. You can see like, okay, this is not working for us. It might be good for some other people, but it isn't working for us. You can learn from that and you can adopt the journey. And the same is true in games, that you're ready to try something. And if it fails, you learn from that. That's okay. So what I've been looking for is, how can we help teams to assess their agility, to see how they are doing. If you look at the different agile methodologies out there, the different agile concepts in there, and to use that as a kind of reflection tool. And one way to use this in agile would be if you use it, for instance, in retrospective, but you can also set up separate playing sessions where you start working with this. And the idea is to not make it an external assessment, like somebody coming into the team and assessing them and telling them how agile they are. But this is about a self-assessment where you're actually going to be assessing yourself, how things are working out for you. And this fits again with the agile mindset, because if you look in agile, you're looking for a way for teams to self-organize, to think about their way of working, to find a way of working that works best for them. So if you want to improve on that way of working, that's also something that you would like the team to self-assess instead of having an external assessor, finding a way to see how are we doing, what's working for us, what's an area that we would like to improve in there, what's an experiment, what's an idea that we can use in here to improve, and then decide upon take action. I started looking into these kind of agile self-assessments, finding out that a lot of those assessments are there already. A lot of organizations have published questionnaires or other tools that you can use for self-assessment. And there's a page, actually, I think we can send the presentation around after the meetup, then we can use this link in here. I created a page where I found more than 80 different agile self-assessments that are out there already. And initially I was quite reluctant when I was working with this kind of assessment to come up with the stuff myself. But I found out over and over again that I was tailoring the stuff that was in here into a way that I could use it in my workshops or in my coaching, in my team. And that's where I came up with the Agile Self-assessment Game. So what is this game? Well, it started as a kind of Agile coaching cards, the ones that we saw at the beginning, simple cards with a statement in there that teams can, yeah, this is something that we would like to be doing. This is something that we would like to see in our organization. And then I started finding out more and more different playing formats or exercises that you could use with these cards to play around with them. And I collected this stuff in this book, The Agile Self-assessment Game. So initially, these stories were published on my website, but when more and more different playing formats came up and people also started sharing the way that they were playing with these cards, I decided to collect all this stuff into this book, The Agile Self-assessment Game, which describes different formats, the different cards, the techniques that you can use as facilitators, and also has experience stories there that people have been playing with the games. Originally, there were cards for Agile, which were expanded with cards for things like Scrum and DevOps. And later, I also published cards on testing, quality, and most recently, there's a deck of cards published on psychological safety, having found out that for many teams, having this psychological safety is a key aspect to really work Agile in there. So we created a set of cards who are covering this aspect. Okay, let me stop right now here to check with you. Do you have any idea of what this kind of games and gamification about. Do you have any questions on this? I see everybody's silent.
Yes, I waited for others maybe to give some comment. I would like to give a comment around the psychological safety that you're talking about a lot. And I read somewhere, it was Amy Edmondson, I think, talking about psychological safety, actually to frame the work as a learning problem. So to have a gamification as our way of working, actually, to do spikes, experiments, together around some problems, and to model curiosity, as a part of inspect and adopt. So I guess you're talking about that. And psychological safety as probably most important thing for the teams if we will want to have a retrospective. And I know that you explore that topic a lot around effective retrospectives. We really have to be open and honest, and there must be some amount of trust between team members in order to open and talk about the problems. Otherwise, we will have those retrospectives where everything was great and we have great teamwork and everything is perfect, but actually no problem was raised.
Exactly. If you have that kind of situation where the safety is not there, then the real issue is not going to be brought up in the retrospective. And if the real issue is not going to be discussed, they're going to remain there. They're going to be hampering the team. So that's why, in retrospective, but in team working in general, psychological safety is very important in there. I like your idea of framing it as a learning situation and as a kind of experiment, like, okay, we have a problem here, we would like to solve it. We would like to solve it together because we want to bring in all the knowledge and experience that we have in the team, that we have in the organization to solve this problem and to work together on this. And again, collaboration, I think it's a key aspect of gamification in there that can help you to solve this kind of problem.
I have one question around the self-assessment game. What is your recommendation? How to play it with the team and yet not to be understood like one more type of imposing agility? We want to show you how bad you are.
Well, I think the safest way to do this, and it depends, of course, on the facilitator, is to go easy on the gaming format. That's also why in the first time that we played with this game right now in this meetup, I just presented a couple of cards and asked people to talk about that. That was all.
To pick their teams.
So
topics.
I didn't impose anything. I just asked a question like, okay, is there any of this card in here that triggers something that you would like to share? And I triggered it now like, okay, something that happened in your company. It could also be something like, okay, is there any card in here that triggers something that you saw happening in our last sprint that went well and that I would like to highlight or would like to celebrate? Is there anything in there what happened that I think we can learn from? Can we pick a card out of that? The challenge would then be to pick cards that are relevant for the topic. And what my experience is that if you have some idea about how the team is doing, which you usually have if you work together with a team as a Scrum Master or an Agile coach, then you can pick up a couple of cards that might probably relate to the team. And of course, you're making these choices, but you're giving the freedom to the team to pick whatever card they think is important in there. And they may even say, I don't like any of the cards. Can you bring in some new cards? So if you give them the freedom to pick the topic, then you're not already imposing something in there.
Thank you.
Any other questions right now on the game? Otherwise, I think we're going to go to the game format. Anybody? I see a lot of wondering faces like what's happening.
People are anxious to start the game.
Then we're just going to do that. Okay, so then let me switch back to the Jamboard. And then we're going going to switch to the play format. Okay, so let me first explain the playing format. And this is a playing format actually which is described in the book, but a little differently. This book came out 3 years ago. At that time, playing the game was more or less a mixture of playing on site and occasionally playing remotely with the card. But most of the playing at that point in time was playing games on site, playing the game co-located. And if you're co-located, you got a lot more possibilities to play with cards and to do different things with that. So there is, in the book, there is a first things first game exercise described in there, but it's a format what you would play co-located and the cards wouldn't be visible. I adopted this exercise to play with the cards online and then the cards will become visible. So how does this game go? Well, basically, every player, and let's assume that we have 4 people of the team who want to join in with the game, and I'm going to ask 4 people who are in the meetup right now to join this game. Everybody's going to get 2 cards from the deck, just random cards. I'm going to give them to them. And then we're going to take turns. The first one who's going to play the game looks at the 2 cards and is going to pick a third card from the deck over here. And you don't know which card that's going to be. As you can see, all the cards are covered, so you don't know what's on it. Then you have 3 cards, and then you're going to make a decision which card, 2 cards that you want to keep, and which card you're going to be throwing away. And the problem that we're going to be solving is the case that I described over here, which is that you're going to be developing an app for a new digital full online bank. And the main idea behind this app is that you want to attract young people to this bank. Young being young of mind. People who think about, okay, if I think about the bank, the only thing that pops up for me is phone. Banking is phone, banking is digital. I just use my phone to do all the stuff that I want to do. Transferring money, checking on my account, checking my savings, whatever I'd like to do with my money, buying shares, whatever I want to do that with my phone. And I can't think of a bank of having an office or anything like that. It's going to be fully digital. And you want to develop an app that makes it easy for people to do that kind of banking. And you probably all know some banks that provide an app. And yeah, you can do the banking with that, but it's horrible. It's not fun. You need to do it because that's the only way to do it. This company is going to develop an app that the youngsters are really going to like. And it's a digital online only app. So that's the only way to actually do banking. And what we're going to be playing in this situation is that you're going to be a new team at a large bank who's going to develop this app. And what do you need to develop this app? That's what's going to be on the cards. And that's also going to be your selection criteria for the cards that you're going to keep and the cards that you're going to be throwing away. So after the first player has picked a card and then looked at the cards in his or her hand with the other card and decided, okay, which 2 cards we're going to keep, then we're going to go to the next player. Same again, pick a card from the stack, decide which 2 of the 3 cards that you want to keep, which are important for your team to be able to develop this app, and which card you're going to throw away. And then we're probably going to do something like 1 or 2 rounds depending on time, and then see which cards are left that you kept that you think like, okay, this is stuff that we need as a team to be able to develop this application for the bank. If we have times left, we can also see how these cards relate to each other. Is there any stuff between the different cards that's related? Can we cluster them some way to see, okay, this is the kind of thing that we need to do for our team. This is the kind of stuff that we need to set up to make sure that our team can really do this kind of work, and maybe even do some dot coding if we need to do on that. We'll have to see how much time we have. The main thing right now is to go to this playing format to see, okay, what's important for this team to keep and what's something that we have to throw away and that we're not going to be focused upon right now. Okay, just a quick check. Is the playing format clear? Anybody has questions on that? Then my question is, who would like to join the game?
I have a question. So the idea is that when I pick a card, I need to think if this, whatever is on the card, is important for the new team that we are creating that will work on this application.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the choice you're gonna make. Is this important? Is it more important than the other two cards that you have?
Okay.
And then throw away one of the three cards. You only want to keep two. The reason behind keeping two, again, similar to what I mentioned earlier, is one, you want to get focus into the team. You don't want to be doing 10 things. You want to focus on, okay, this is the 2, 3, 4 things maximum that are important for this team right now. You want to create that focus, and you want to create that focus together.
Okay.
Okay. So who's interested to join the game?
Ben, are Miroslav and Maria already players?
No,
I don't know
they've got
how.
fake names.
They're
So
Fake names.
yeah, so whoever wants to join in.
Really? Fake names? Exactly what?
Well, if you want to draw Miroslav, you
Yeah,
can put
sure.
your name over there.
Sure.
Okay, then I'm gonna put it back. Well, what I actually did is to look up, okay, what are popular Serbian names? And well, there's a chance of hitting an actual person. So
Okay.
Miroslav, you're on the game. Okay, who's next?
Well, that's me. Don't
You-
move. Yeah,
you would
I
like
have
to
J,
join?
additional J. Yeah, sure, why not?
Okay. Then who would also like to join the game?
Question marks?
The question marks are away, so anybody who wants to play this game? Come on, people, it's an experiment, you can't fail.
We need more psychological safety.
What can we do to make it safe for people to play the game?
So I want to play.
Mm-hmm. Okay, then Ola, I'm gonna put your name over there.
Thank you.
Yeah, and if we could have one more person.
I can play.
Hi, Priti, you want to join?
Yeah, sure, I can
Yeah.
play.
Okay, cool. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we have 4 people on the game right now. Let me make it a little bit smaller so that we have some space to play with the game. And let me pull out some cards from the deck and hand them out. I'm going to make them also a little bit smaller. I'm assuming that you can still read them. So I'm going to give everybody 2 cards right now. Just randomly, I can't see what's on the cards. So that's 1. And here
So we should pick one to keep and the other one to,
No, everybody's getting 2 cards right now. 2 cards for every player. So I'm on the first bullet of this playing format.
okay.
Let me put it there. Somebody already took a second card. Self-organized. Okay, so everybody got 2 cards right now. And okay, Miroslav, let's start the game with you.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you a 3rd card from the deck.
Okay.
And then the question is, looking at these 3 cards, and again, looking at the case situation that we have over here.
Yeah.
Which of these 3 cards would you like to keep, and which card, 1 card, would you like to throw away?
Okay, so I have to throw away something, or I can keep each of.
You can keep 2 out of 3.
Okay.
And maybe let's read them out loud first. So what's the 3 cards that you have?
Okay, so there's an Agile retrospective at the end of sprint.
Yeah.
There's a, does it have to be at the end of each sprint? I don't know. So there's a prioritized product backlog feature list for the sprint. Okay, the team collaborates to clarify requirement details to prepare for development. Collaborates. So I have to kick one out, right?
Yeah, you have to kick one out.
At least one.
Only okay. If two of them don't make sense, you can kick out two. That makes it easier in the next round. But
yeah, prioritize backlog is important. Retrospective at the end, it confuses me. I think it can be anytime, I think.
Yep, true.
The team collaborates, so I would kick that out, but in terms of it could be anytime, not at the end. So
I want to keep the other two cards.
Yeah. Team collaborates to clarify requirements, details prepared for development. Team collaborates to clarify requirements. So the team is clarifying requirements. So is that?
Yeah, and they're doing that collaboratively. So it's working together to get a clear insight of what it is that we need to develop.
Okay. This also confuses me because someone else has to clarify requirements for them. I think the customer or something. So I don't know. So I'll kick one out to make sure that.
To explain, the product owner is part of the team.
Okay.
So then it would make sense to collaborate.
Okay, I thought it was.
And the other thing is, I think for this situation, if you're already developing an online app, it would be great if the whole team knows what it's about.
Okay, I thought it was development team because it was for development, but
no.
Okay, then I'll kick the first one out.
Okay, let me move that one to the side. Okay, then let's pick a card for Maria. Okay, Maria, so you got 3 cards.
Okay, so we have the team is focused and is not disrupted during the sprint. We have the team gives attention to technical excellence, craftsmanship, and good design, and the team is empowered to make decisions. So I guess all 3 are important. I would count the last one. It's too general. What kind of decisions? Only decisions connected to their work, their new team. I'm not sure if they can do all the decisions from the beginning. They have to be focused and not disrupt, and they have to make sure that they are cutting edge technology and whatnot, because we want to have fully digital online bank. So I would kick out the last one.
So the one on this one, on the power to make decisions.
For now,
yeah,
because they're a new team.
Okay, well, the card is still there. So actually, if anybody else would like to pick the card in again, that's also possible. You can go back to the cards which have been thrown out to pick them in, as long as you only keep 2 cards. But I understand your reasoning. Like, this is a really high-tech application, so you want to make sure that people are doing a good job from the start and not building up a lot of technical debt. Okay, Ola, let me pick out a card for you, card number 3. And let's see what we have over there.
Okay, so we have the team does not rely on management to set and meet its goals. Team work together with the business. The sprint reviews used to elicit feedback and foster collaboration.
That's a challenging one.
Okay, so I think that the team does not rely on the management to set and meet the goals, is close to the team, is empowered to make decisions. And I think this is very important for the team, that they are empowered to make the decisions and that they don't rely on anyone else. So I would keep this one, the team does not rely, and I would keep the sprint reviews used to elicit feedback and foster collaboration. I feel it's close to the teamwork together with the business, but I like the specificity of that the sprint reviews used to elicit feedback and foster collaboration. I like that this is very specifically why we do it and what it gives us. So I'm gonna lose the teamwork together with the business.
So this one goes out. By the way, this is also something that's been designed into the game. So there's overlap between the cards. Some cards are more specific, some cards are more general, and depending on the situation, people will pick one card or the other card. And that's okay. Like for some teams, it makes sense to say like, okay, this is a very specific thing, but we want to have that in because that helps us to make some progress. If other teams would say, okay, if we just have the concept of collaboration, then we can figure out ourselves how to do it. And there's no right or wrong.
Yeah, and also I think that like the one that I kept is more Scrum specific, and I'm fan of Scrum, so it just speaks more to me. But they speak to the same value.
Yeah, I agree. Makes sense. Okay, thank you, Ola. Vriti, I'll pick out a card for you. And then you also have 3 cards in there.
There is an automated build and regression test. The team is self-organized and able to manage its work. I'm definitely keeping the team is self-organized and able to manage its work because that's really important, and it will really help because and the team knows how much they can deliver. I think I can kick this out because it's kind of a subset. Because if team is self-managing and self-organized, they will definitely be able to manage their work, and they will know how much they can take on their plates, how much they can deliver, and the expectations will kind of be met. So I will kick that one out.
Yeah, so you're actually going for the broader concept, like if they're self-organized and managing, then they know how much they can do and how much they don't can do. Okay.
Yeah.
So we did the first round right now. We've got a couple of cards which are moved out. Again, it's actually possible in the second round if somebody wants to pick one of these cards instead of taking a bet on the stack. That's also possible. So if you think like, okay, there's a card in here that we need to pull in, I think it's important for the team, then you can take it back. Otherwise, you can place your bet on the stack. Let's see how we're doing time-wise. I think we have time for second round. So, Miroslav, would you like to pick one of the 4 cards over here, or would you like to take a bet on the stack and pick a card from there?
This one, team is empowered to make decision. I think it's important early on because it's a new team, but also I'm eager to see other cards as well.
Okay, but this is a bet. You can say I'm going to pick that card, and then you have to throw one of your other 2 cards away.
I think the team should be empowered to make decisions.
Okay, so you want to have this one?
Yeah, let's say.
Okay, and which one are you going to throw away? Which one is less important?
From my cards, right?
Yeah, from your cards.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not fair. Make decisions. Okay, so I'll change a little bit. So I'll take there's product backlog feature list for the sprint. Should I replace that with empowered team is empowered? Yeah, I would do that. Yeah, I would do that.
Yeah, you think this is more important?
Yeah, because they would change direction by making decision, even though something is prioritized. And the team, it's not just development team, so it's all together. So I would leave that and kick out product.
Yeah. What I'm hearing here is the mindset, the skills of the team are more important than the tool of having a prioritized list. It's more important that the team can take decisions and know what to do than saying, okay, we have a backlog.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, then we're going to move this one out. Be a little bit smaller. And we're going to keep this one in. Okay. Maria, up to you. Do you want to pick one of the forecasts or take a bet on the stack?
New one,
A
please.
new one. Okay, there we go.
Teams collaborate with customers as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Team is focused and is not disrupted. Team gives attention to technical excellence. You know, this reminds me on this psychological test that you get sometimes on job interviews. You are courage and kind, and you have to choose, you know. Okay. Teams collaborate with customers as much as possible. I guess important more than.
Is it more important than the other two?
No, but yes, I'm not sure. If they don't, wait a second. What about the other cards from other people? Should we take them in consideration when we are making a prioritization of our cards? Because if we already have something like we have feedback from the customer on the sprint review or something.
Okay, so you mean you want to discuss this with your other team members and then decide on what to keep or what to throw away?
No, I'm just asking whether we are taking in consideration the full deck, all the cards here, or we are just taking a look at our cards.
You can. If you want to look at the other cards and say, okay, this is something that my team member has selected already. At the end, we're going to pick all the cards together from all the team members. So you might as well start collaborating right now.
Okay, then I would remove this one with the collaboration with customers, because we already have that team is collaborating and team is collecting feedback. So I guess that already means.
Mm-hmm. So you mean that aspect is covered already?
I guess.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So we're going to throw this one away. Okay. Ola, you want to pick one of the cards that's been thrown away, or you want to pick a new one from the stack?
A new card, please.
Okay. I saw some Scrum at the top, so this one actually comes from the Scrum pack.
Actions from their perspective are done in the next sprint. Okay, so considering that Virti has the team is self-organized and able to manage its work. Oh well, but does it mean that that they can make their own decisions and they don't have to rely on management?
Mm-hmm.
But the same is a new team, so the retrospective and the actions from their perspective are that they experiment and learn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you want to get into that improvement mood as soon as possible.
So I think I will keep those two Scrum cards and kick out the team does not rely on management.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then, Preeti, do you want to take one of the cards who've been thrown away, or do you want to take one from the deck?
So actually, I wanted to bring back the retrospective one, but since Ola has already taken the retrospective, that means that we are already doing retrospectives towards the end of our sprint, or you know, during the sprint. So then I think I will go for a new card. The team uses a board tool to provide clear visibility of progress and issues. Definitely, I will keep this. So the one which I will throw out is there is an automated build and regression test, because I think it's okay to start with, I mean, if we don't have an automated or something, we can always, you know, start with something manual or something easy. And because, you know, I see that we already have a card which says the team gives attention to technical excellence. So I feel that, you know, we will be able to give a good quality. So I think we can kick out the testing thing right now.
Okay. And I'm going to move this one away. Okay, so we played 2 rounds right now of the game. And actually talking about explaining the cards you kept is something that you actually did along the way already, since you were discussing every card out loud, why you kept the card and why you did other cards away. So I think we have some information in team already, why these cards are there, why you think that these aspects are important for you as a team. So let's go to the next step and see if there's any clustering in the cards that we have right now. So at this point in time, we can just throw all the cards together and see if any of the cards are related. And I would suggest for all the team members to jump in and just move the cards if you see anything that's related.
What to see? Are they any related to each other? What?
Yeah, and then just cluster those cards together. If 2 or 3 cards are on the same topic or strongly relate to each other, that you want to bring them together.
We already did this on a previous iteration.
Yeah, I think like we did a good job of not having those
Yeah,
overlapping items.
yeah. Which is a good thing, but which also comes with a challenge, because indeed you looked at the different cards like, okay, we want to touch upon all aspects. The drawback is that you now have 8 things to work on.
Yeah.
I think these two can be,
comes with a challenge.
these two maybe can be clubbed together. Like, what do you guys think?
To self-organize and using the tool for that. Yeah, I would expect they could be pretty close. Yeah.
This also is it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everything is like self-organizing team here.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. And all the other cards are more or less loners, not something that you can cluster together. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So let's see what we have right now as a result from these 2 playing rounds in the clustering. We have a couple of cards around the team being self-organized and using a tool for that and being empowered. So that's something that you would need to set up when you start as a new team in the bank. You want to make sure that there's team collaboration from the start to clarify the requirements, to know what it's about. The team being focused and not disrupted. Question for me would be, how would you do this? Is there any specific action or anything that you can think about to do this? Anybody from the team who would like to jump in?
Around focusing and not disrupted? Is that the question?
So how, looking at the card, the team is focused and not disrupted, what would be things, actions that you could take, for instance, for the team to ensure that this is happening, that the team can actually be focused?
But I think with the team uses a board, because if we have a clear visibility of what we're working on, then we are empowered to say no to anything that comes in.
Mm-hmm.
We keep our focus on what we have on the board. So I could see that those could go together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So again, the board would help you with that, the team deciding on this is what they can be working on, having the right priority, and that would also help the team to focus.
Yeah.
And then how would you deal with disruptions? How can you deal with disruptions?
Probably a new team would need a lot of help from Scrum Master to coach the team around accountability, around commitment to delivery, around those things. And if we have that, then we are basically focused on our sprint goal enabling visibility and transparency is helping, but we need to have agreement that we will actually deliver what we committed to, and not be disrupted is actually that, being focused on what's important. So some kind of coaching around the sprint goal and the purpose of our work is needed in order for new team to understand.
Yeah, I think actually the Scrum Master could also help with the team in there, could shield the team from interruptions. And if you have the task board in there with the clear priority, people who would like to interrupt, you could refer them back to the board like, okay, this is what the team is working on right now. These are the team priorities. Do we think we really need to change this, or is this the stuff where we should keep the team focused? Okay, I think we talked about the technical excellence already. Can you think of any actions that you could actually do to assure this kind of technical excellence in the team?
I think a definition of done can play a role here, where we can have good definition of dones when we move our cars from one block to another. So things like code review and taking care of some technical debt and all of those things might help there.
Yeah, that could help. By the way, what I could do, just to clarify, and that's also a way to play the game, is to make a sticky note and just put it on the card. As a kind of action like, okay, you want to have a good definition of done because that's going to help you with technical excellence. I think looking at time right now, because we have until 8 o'clock latest, but I think it's interesting to see what's been happening in the game and to do some debriefing right now. What we saw actually is that in the short time where we presented the case and where we presented the card, I think there was a lot of interesting discussions on, okay, what's important in this situation? What's important for the team right now? What should the team focus upon? What should we be doing or not be doing? And I think it's interesting to see how these discussions evolve over time. And I think we've only been playing for 20, 25 minutes, I think, including the case definition. And looking back at what we found out during these 20, 25 minutes of what's important for this team, how to set this up, what to focus upon, how important it is to have a task board. I saw already some collaboration within the team, like, okay, we have this card, so we can pick another card to do this. I think this really took off in the 20, 25 minutes that we were playing this. And we started from scratch. We started from nothing. We started from just an idea like, okay, we have a case, we have a couple of cards, and we have people playing a game. And I think this more or less shows the power that games like this and playing in a game way can help people to find their way of working and to explore how to do stuff in there. I think if we would have a meeting about this, okay, we're going to set up a team, how are we going to do this? I don't think we would have gotten to the same result. We might have spoken for hours and then still have a lot of confusion or still thinking about, okay, what do we need to do? And is this important or not? So I think this is some of the key concepts of gamification that I tried to highlight here. Again, if we go back to the slides, it's stuff like collaboratively looking at solving this problem, collaboratively looking at how can we do this together as a team, visualizing using the cards like, okay, this is what we're going to be doing now, this is what we're going to be focusing upon, this is the stuff that we need first. Having these discussions together, looking for solutions together, this is the kind of stuff that gamification can do. And I think with this playing form, this exercise that we did here right now, more or less shows the power that these kind of games can do. And maybe at this point, it would be interesting first to hear from the people playing the game, how you you experience this, and then there's a second tab for anybody else who's in the meetup to see if they have any reflections on what happened or any questions. Let's first go to the 4 people who played the game. So Miroslav, Maria, Olaf, Riki, any feedback that you have on playing this game? How did this go for you?
May I start first?
Yeah.
Okay, so I like the game. It's kind of like when you have a new team and you don't have any retrospectives yet, right? It's kind of combo of these two. Like when you would like to launch the team, and so it's kind of great combination, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, maybe I can go next. For me, I find this game very usable, for example, as setting some teams agreements at the beginning of the work together.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe playing it with the new team, it would be very interesting to understand what are the people's expectation and experience and what is valuable and what actually has value for them. But
Mm-hmm.
also maybe it would be interesting to leave some cards open for people to put the suggestions there.
Yeah. Actually, most of the decks have blank cards where you can put in your own card, your own statement, like, okay, this is important. I don't see the card, but this is important. I would like to bring this up. Yeah. Okay. Olaf, Riti, anything you would like to add?
So for me, it was very interesting to hear other people speak about the cards. How when I read the card, I had maybe different interpretation or different thought process behind that. So it's really interesting to hear how others are thinking about it. So yeah, that's a good, like very good, like the discussion starter. For everyone to just read and think about like, okay, how I understand it, and then hear how someone else understands it is really interesting.
That's also the idea behind how the cards are formulated. They're more or less formulated as a prompt for discussion. There's no solution in there. There's a concept, there's a mindset, there's a statement in there, a value of something that is important. But it also leaves room for the people to think about, okay, how would I do this? Why would I do this? What makes it important for me? And that triggers a discussion. Viti, anything you would like to add to how this?
Yeah, I think it was very interesting, and I will definitely use this with some teams which I will start working with, which will actually help them to from day one collaborate together, and they will share the same kind of thoughts when they will select some of the cards and decide how they, so kind of it will set some rules, and we will stay focused on those cards, and we can pave the way.
Okay. Anybody else in the meetup who would like, if they have?
Yes. I would add a few things firstly, but please have in mind that I'm a former banker, so this is my point of view. Yes. If this is a Agile self-assessment game, I think that this team is a little bit too closed, because we are speaking about digital full online bank. So I wouldn't that much cut off business, and this is new application to attract youngsters, meaning I wouldn't too much cut off customers, and I wouldn't give too much of a power to for the decision, because it's a new team. You always have to balance internal and external. Everything is a individual case study. So this is, let's say, my opinion, but okay, it's self-assessment and it is self firstly. And my question would be, how often And in which cases can we use this game actually? Because we're always lacking the time, and this would be very, I don't know, luxury of using a time. So maybe in starting a new projects, in forming a new team, what is your experience?
Well, there's a lot of different ways that you can actually play with these cards, and we've seen two of them right now. We see a very plain format in the beginning, like just throw some cards there and start a discussion. And we had now this part which is really focused on setting up new teams. There's also parts of formats that you can use in retrospective, using the cards to reflect back. That's a kind of health checks that you can do in teams, where you can actually pick out a couple of cards, predefined cards, and then see how you're performing on those cards. So how often would you do it? My first guess would be not too often, because this is giving you a lot of information, it's giving you a lot of ideas, and enough stuff to work on in a team. If you look at the stuff that we got out of this first game already, to set up this team and to start working on the things we pulled out of here, you probably need a couple of sprints already. So you don't need to play it every 2 or 3 weeks. Normally, I would say once every 2 or 3 months, and then vary your format in there.
Or maybe if we have some dilemma where team can jump in.
Exactly, then they can pick a playing format that would help them with this, and then pick it out and work with that. And also, that's also the other thing, is depending on the problem that you try to solve in there, you're going to pick cards that are related to this. And
yes,
I pre-selected cards related to this case situation. All of the cards that are in the deck are more or less relevant for the topic in here. And there's a lot of other cards which I thought were less relevant. I explicitly put in a couple of cards from business aspects, looking at it was a banking application. I think it also depends on who the team is.
Mm.
If you set up a team for an app like this, you would like to have some business people on board, and then there may be a different outcome in there. But how often? Not too often, because playing this game gives you so much information, gives you so much power to do stuff that you don't need to do it very often actually.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Preeti, you have a hand?
I have a question. I saw that, there are some cards like, retrospective, sprint reviews and everything. So if my team isn't much aware of, what agile mindset is and, Scrum, sprints, everything. So they might not choose those cards. But, I as a Scrum Master or as an agile coach, I really want them to, choose kind of those cards. But if I give them some of the cards, they will, choose, I want more decision power, I want to be empowered and stuff. So how will, I control that by not being like, I'm imposing it to them?
Well, I think that the challenge would be to give them as much flexibility as possible, and then just see what happens. If you pre-select too much as a Scrum Master, if you're going to be too much focused, like, okay, this is what I would like to see happening, and I'm only giving them those cards, then you run the risk that you're imposing something on them that they would not like to do it. And what I usually do is, if I do a kind of assessment, I look at the cards which I think could be relevant for the team. I double the number of cards. Like, okay, I think these are 4 or 5 things that you do. I would at least double it to 10 cards. And I would pull in a couple of other cards that are related to it, but might be outside scope. More or less on the edge. Like, they could be useful, they could not be useful. And let's see what happens. And occasionally what I find out is that they actually pick those cards, which tells me that I'm wrong. Because the team picks other cards that I thought, I was thinking like, it might be the case, but probably not. And my guidance would be, the team is always right. If they pick those cards trigger them. Those cards tell them something that's important for the team, that something that would like to work on. Then that's what's going to happen anyway. You can impose something else, but it's not going to work. So let them work on that. And 9 out of 10 times the team is right. The cards they picked out, the stuff they picked out is actually the stuff that's important for them. It's the stuff that's going to help them. And maybe 1 out of 10 times they're wrong, but if they just do it and they find out that they're wrong, they've learned a lot. And that's going to work much quicker than telling them, okay, you need to be doing this. So challenge the agent. Give them a couple of cards where you think like, okay, no, I don't think they're going to pick that one. See what happens. And that's true self-organization.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yes. Do you have some recommendations how many people can play? Because right now you had 4. Is there like, could I have 7 team members play this in this format?
Yeah, you can. I think it more or less, the team-based games are more or less also drawn to team size. So you're looking at 5 plus minus 2, 7, 8, 9, depending how tightly knit the game is. If you go to more people, it typically breaks down. What you can do is then split up in multiple sessions. You can actually combine this stuff also with exercises from liberating structure, for instance. I do a 1, 2, 4 all to work with the cards and have them pick a small team first and then share between 2 teams and then analyze that to the whole organization. So, but start small, not too many people, then it's not going to work.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
And with more team players, game players, probably more cards will all overlap. So at the end, you're with several topics again to work on.
It might be, but that's also how you would facilitate the game. In this instance, I didn't jump in when you said like, okay, I see this card already with another team member. If you're with a big group, I would jump in as a facilitator and say, okay, you can pick very distinct cards, but be aware that you're going to have a lot of issues that you need to work on. So I'm not sure if that's the right strategy to be as diverse as possible. You might want to see already, okay, let's focus on some parts in there and let's try to bring it down. A lot of this depends on how the facilitator works with the team to get them to the result. And again, I'm not telling you which card to pick. I'm just guiding you on how many or how few cards you want to have in there. But you're choosing which card you want to keep in. I'm not telling you what to keep or what to throw away. Okay, more questions. Okay, I think let's stop sharing. I don't think I have much more in the presentation, by the way. So basically, we've been playing the game. I already mentioned, let me share the slides to go back there. I already mentioned the different gaming formats that are there, and more gaming formats are popping up actually. And the thing we did right now was the first thing first, but then visible version that you can play online. So these are playing suggestions that are described in the book, but there's much more suggestions, different ways to play with these games and different decks of cards. And what I also see often is that people pick up the book, pick up the cards, then look at this and then design their own game. Like, okay, I'm picking up this format, but I'm slightly changing it towards something that works with my team. And that's okay. I like people to come up with their own ideas on how to play this. I think that's a good way to do this. So let me jump to the key takeaways of the session today. I think we talked about the first part already. Don't impose change on people. So give people the freedom to decide on what they would like to do. Trust that the people will make the right choice in there. They have the best information on what they need to do in there. If you want to have a self-organizing organization, self-organizing team, then teams should also be able to assess how they are doing. If they're truly self-organizing, you're not telling them what to do, then they should build in their own capability to assess how they are doing. being self-responsible for organizing work also means being responsible for improving your way of working. We saw that with gamification that you can provide a space, a safe to fail environment where people can play with ideas, where people can play with cars and see what they would like to do, experiment with it, discuss it, and think about how to do stuff in there as a way that really engages people into change, engages people into what are we going to be doing and why are we going to be doing this. And the why is also very important. When you pick a card, you know why you're picking this card, you know why this is important. So I think these are the key takeaways of today's session on gamification and playing with the game like the Agile Self-assessment game. There's a couple of links. I think we can send the presentation. Yeah, we can put it on the meetup page probably, the link to that so that people can access the links and find the game and find the cards and more information about this so that we can make it available on the meetup page. I think that would work. I can post on SlideShare and we can make it available. So I think what we have left right now is question time. Any question, any thoughts, any ideas that you'd like to share?
I always wait a little bit to check if someone else will jump in. Yeah, I want to thank you, Ben, really for this. And a small comment from my side. I guess that we need to be a little bit careful when we are doing this kind of games. I feel that, for example, I would like to play this game with some teams. And I'm thinking of how I have to adjust cards to each team, you know,
Yep.
to take care of to think about the team's maturity and whether we prepare them for some of these things before we offer them.
Yeah, it's true. If you start playing with this game with teams, you think about both the game format, so what kind of playing format that you're going to be using with a certain team, and also what I call the pre-selection of the card. Which cards are you going to be using for this game, depending on where the team is, depending on what the team is working on, what's important for the team, to give them something that's relevant for them. And yes, that needs some preparation.
And one more question. I'm not sure whether it's have you ever played this type of games with management? For example, when we are in the middle of agile transformation and people would like to understand where are we going and what's happening. Have you ever played this type of games with outside, let's say, of the Scrum teams or agile teams?
Well, what I've done is kind of self-assessment with management teams. Not specifically this game, but self-assessment where the management team would actually self-assess themselves on certain aspects and see how they were doing. And the fun part of that is this was part of a bigger self-assessment exercise within an organization. And when I was discussing these kind of self-assessment with the management team, they said, okay, can we also assess ourselves? Can we do this ourselves to see how this is working? And I actually said yes at that point in time. I had no clue how to do it, but I didn't want to lose the opportunity because I think like, okay, if the management team wants to do this, wants to see how this works, yeah, I'm going to do it. And it turned out to be a very interesting exercise, both the topic that I picked with the management team, which I recall was related to organizational communication. I think that was a topic that we picked out for the team to work upon, but also seeing how this kind of assessment evolved in the management team. And they became pretty aware, like, okay, but if we want to discuss stuff like this, we're going to be touching on topics that might be difficult to talk about, topics that people might not be eager to share how they feel about this. They saw the same in their team and found out like, okay, but the same stuff is also going to be happening in our organization. So if we want this to work, we need to focus on whatever we can do to create safety in our organization, because otherwise it's not going to work. They saw their own unsafety and they saw like, okay, we're probably going to have the same in our organization. So it really helped them also to bring out this kind of game and bring out this kind of gamification to the organization and work together with the agile coaches in the organization to make this work in the organization. So short answer, if any manager asks you, start with saying yes, because these kind of opportunities can really help you to get stuff done in the organization. And then find out how to do it, but first say yes.
Thank you so much for this insight, Ben. Yes, you reminded me on something that I think Simon Sinek was talking about, like everyone should share this feeling of safety on their level, on their circles. You know, no one communicates with 100 or 1,000 people in company. But if everyone would do it in their circle of influence, let's say, then you have it at the end of the road again. So yes, thank you for this insight.
Yeah, very true. Okay.
Anyone else has some comments, questions? Takeaways?
Any feedback? Was this useful, interesting? Yeah, I see some thumbs going up. Cool.
Thank you, Ben. It was really, really useful. I think that we will try to make this work with our teams.
Cool.
A lot of ideas. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me for this session and giving me the opportunity to play the game here. I think it was fun doing. I think we had some interesting discussions, some nice learning. So happy to be here.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Ben, and thanks to all our participants. Guys, see you soon again on our Agile Humans meetup. Thank you again for being part of this, and see you later. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.